For example, we create a new property in accounting department, last report, which is private, and then in constructor, we pass the reports to this, the first value of the element by using this keyword. And then here we assign this text which we push into the reports to this last report. Now this can be accessed from inside this class because we are inside the class. This is a private uh, property. Now to make it accessible outside of this, we can use the getter method, getter and setter. So here we can create a new get method. We will pass that and we can write more logic for that to be used. So this is used to retrieve the value. It always has a return. So here we pass this dot last report and we use an if statement to otherwise throw an error if it is not present. So now here we can just use console log and use that get method name. We can access this as a property since we could not access the property private property, but we can access this method as a property here with accounting dot most recent report, the name of the get method. So by using this we can access this complete logic. Similarly we have set method. So this is to now set the value. We give similar name and pass the parameter value. Inside we have to pass the parameter value of type string. So this is like an alternative to the add report. So we are pushing string with text to the report. Similarly, we do that here, and but here we put an if statement. If the value is not present, we throw an error. Otherwise, on add report method, we pass the value. So to verify the value is correct, now we can use that here on accounting dot most recent report. For example, if we pass an empty string here, so this will generate this error. Please pass in a valid value because that is not a valid value is not present. So we can pass this to set the value now, and we can get this by the get method. Now, we have some method where we don't want to instantiate the class new and new keyword by creating a new object. So we can use this static to create a property here. So we have a method create employee and put static in front of that. We just pass a name parameter string and it returns this name, the type of the field name. And then we can use this here. A constant where we want to use that. So we don't have to use the new keyword here. We can just use the class name. So this acts as a grouping mechanism here. So we can directly use the new property by, from the class without creating a new instance here. We can also create a static property and we give fiscal year and we pass a value here. And then here we on console log we access that with the class name and print that fiscal year here. Also, if we want to access that here with this keyword, like we do in the constructor, we cannot do that because this keyword looks for an instance in this class. So by using static, we don't create an instance. So we can only access it with the class name which contains that static property. Now, when we override a method from a class to the class that inherits that class, so we can choose not to inherit a method, override a method, but we can also make it necessary by using abstract in front of a method here. So in department class, we have this describe method where we write abstract in front of this. So then here, when we override the describe method, so this becomes a necessity. We cannot choose not to override this. And then here we also log the ID department ID string. So, and also here we have to write uh, this keyword or department type, the class name. Then we write this dot id, and for that we on id we create this protect. We write protected for it to be used in another class by using this keyword. Now also we did not have it in this class, so it will give an error for every class that inherits department. We have to create. Similarly here also we print the id with this string here. So by using this here we can remove the curly braces and implementation. So now the classes that inherit this class and that I have to necessarily override this method, you write their own concrete logic for this method in those particular classes without writing it in this class. And then we will have to write abstract in front of this class also. And now this department class cannot be instantiated after writing the abstract here, makes this an abstract. So we will have to create the we'll have to write the logic for implementation of this in other classes that inherit this. Now we can, if we want just to have one instance, one object per class, we can use private constructor for that. If, for example, for this accounting department, we just want it to have one instance, and after that, when we get that instance, we get the same instance every time. So we don't create a new instance after that. For that, we can write private in front of constructor. Here, a new static property so that we can access it without creating a new instance. And here we pass accounting department dot instance for this. we create an instance property here, which is of type accounting department. So we write this for this creates the instance for the accounting department, and this is also a private instance because we don't want any we don't want it to be accessed outside of this class. So we create to create this one instance. So if the instance is present, we just return this dot instance. If not, otherwise on this dot instance we create a new instance with accounting department, pass the string, and then return the instance. So now we can create a new question counting, and we use the dot get instance method, the static method with this class name. So now we will get the instance. If not, we can create the instance like this, and then it, for example, we return this again, so it will just create the same instance again. Since we cannot create a new instance for this class now after using private constructor, interfaces. So we can create interface if we created a class. So interface tells the complete structure of the object. So the structure with which the object will be created, we can write an interface. So we cannot provide any value here like we can do in class. So this is not the how we create the object. This is just the structure which we have to create the object. This tells how the object should look like, and we can not have methods also here. We can just write the structure of the methods. So we can create the interface and write the name, and then inside curly braces we have to pass the fields that it should have and the type of the field. And then for the structure of a method, we can write like this. For example, the method greet, and it should have phrase and type string, and it should return void. This is just a structure with which an object should be created. So these are like custom types that we create. So, but it has some difference. In custom types, we can also write the methods and write the field values. But this is strictly just the structure of an object, but it has a clear implementation. Now we can implement these interfaces inside of the class, and then that class must have the object structure that we provide in the interface. It can have other fields or methods also, but at least it should have the fields that we provide in interface. For example, we create this interface greetable, which then we implement in this class. So now in this class, we must have this greet method that we add in the greetable interface because we implemented that interface here. So here now we can see if we have a name, we can print that with the string phrase whatever we write here. Else we just print some random string. And also here we can create a new constant variable here, which is of type greetable. So because we implemented that interface, and then we create a new instance for the class, and then here we pass the greet method and print that. So this is the necessary method that we have to use in this class. We also implement multiple interfaces in one class. We can have multiple interface names here. This class will have to implement all the interfaces with the respective fields and methods. And on interface, we can write read only also. So the same property that we could use in class, we can use in interface. Would read only on name here. So when we implement this name, and once we write this, we cannot change this anymore because we implemented read only on our interface. And since we put read only on the interface, we don't have to put that write that here in the class where we provide the name, since it already knows now. Now we can also have inheritance on interface like we have on class. So in this greetable interface that we create, this extends the name interface where we have this structure, and then in this we have this method. So in similar way we can implement inheritance in interface like we do in class. So if I remove the name now from this class, this will give an error because this creatable now uses the structure of name. So we need to have that in the class also. So this is how we can use the inheritance. Sometimes we want some properties or other or both, and we can implement different interfaces in different classes based on the requirement. And also multiple interface inheritance is also possible, which was not possible in the class. So we can use multiple interfaces to inherit in one interface. We can also create function types with the interface. So like we create a custom function type like this with parameter and the output. Similarly, we can use interface on this with the semicolon here and give the structure, the type of value parameters and the output, and then create a new function for this function type, and we can use that. And then we have something called optional property. We can use this question mark here in front of main property here to make that optional. So now we don't have necessarily have to write the name field in the class. We can skip that also. So this can be used to be more flexible with this. So we put the option here also. In inside constructor also we can put that where we assign the value and create the constructor for this name. And then we write this. So here we don't necessarily have the name, so we can just print some random string. If we have name, we print that. So here we can create this method, create this logic, even if we don't have name, by using this question mark option property. When TypeScript compiles this to the JavaScript file, all the interfaces will not be present in the JavaScript file because this is concept is only present in TypeScript, not in JavaScript. So it's just used to make code better, and nothing of this will be present in the JavaScript file that it compiles.